Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vaga Muradian here at the Excel Center in London, where we're covering the DSEI trade show, world's largest gathering of air, land, sea, security, and cyber systems. Our coverage here is in partnership with DSEI and Clarion Events, and we're honored to have with us the most important man at this show, Stephen Phipson, who heads the Defense and Security Organization. Stephen, I know you're busy. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely, my pleasure. And I would say that we've got plenty of other more important people here at Vaga, actually, but great to be here, great to talk to you.
You are working hard, and you're the front edge of the customer coming in to the British government. Talk to us in terms of immediately here at the show and in the build-up. What are the focus areas? Where do you see the biggest opportunities for UK defence trade? That's a key part of the government's prosperity agenda. Talk to us a little bit about whether it's for systems or parts of the world you're seeing the greatest interest from.
Okay, good. So if we look at the global trends, you will know that over the last decade or so, the primary focus in terms of the volume of exports we've had in defence and security has been around combat air systems. That's really been where the majority of those exports has been. And we are very strong in that sector, both in terms of platforms, if you look at Typhoon and what we're doing with Hawk, but also, and more importantly, in subsystems and what we're doing there. That's really on the back of a lot of expertise, many decades of expertise at the leading edge of combat air systems. So one trend we're seeing is the assistance to other countries to help them design and manufacture their own indigenous platforms. So this is a very different strategy going forwards from selling your own platform made in the UK. It's about helping them, transferring IP, helping them to do their own design work, and then pulling through all those key subsystems which form the majority of those platforms going forwards. And that's a really interesting strategy. It's developed in a number of countries very well, and we see that as a very key point going forwards. So that's one thing I would point towards. The second point I would point towards is really what we are calling the renaissance in navies. It's the rebuilding of navies globally. We're seeing a lot of countries now looking at new types of capability, particularly in the areas of anti-submarine warfare. And we are particularly well placed with what's going on with the Royal Navy now and the programme outlined yesterday actually by Michael Fallon, our Secretary of State for Defence, in terms of the really large investment that's going into new naval capability going forwards. And as part of that, we are looking at sharing that with some of our closest allies. So build up those communities using similar platforms going forwards, and in some cases adopting that same strategy I just spoke about with the military and combat air systems, where we can actually work with those countries to be able to produce those warship designs, those British warship designs in country using local jobs and local shipyards, and then pulling through and sharing with them the capabilities of our major systems as part of that. And we see that as the sort of large trends going forwards. And that's very different from the past. That's very different from manufacturing an aircraft or a military vehicle here in the UK and then shipping it over abroad. It's really about helping building up their own defence capability. And I would say, of course, that we're only doing that with our closest allies and partners.
And just to accentuate the point of the importance of the Navy is HMS Queen Elizabeth there at anchor.
Absolutely.
And Prince of Wales named last weekend, which was tremendous to see both of those ships moving ahead. Let's talk about the frigate exports. I mean, you have been key on that. Type 26 was supposed to be the global combat frigate. That was the one. There were a lot of hopes that there was going to be international sales potential. I know that you have had a meeting or two on that over the years in terms of advancing that agenda. Talk to us a little bit. And now the Type 31E for export has been released as part of the shipbuilding strategy, and also to address the concern that Type 26 was pricing itself out of the market. So the Type 31E is going to be a $250 million ship, and hopefully goes into service both with the Royal Navy but also customers around the world. Talk to us a little bit about the difficulty and the challenge there. Okay. Do you see the 31 taking away from the 26? Are you still optimistic the 26 is going to have a future out there as a sail? I mean, and this comes from, I know there were a lot of high hopes because Britain was one of the world's leading warship exporters. So the Leander class was adopted worldwide. Oberon submarines were considered a gold standard for diesel-powered submarines, diesel-electric submarines. Talk to us a little bit about where the state of marketing play is for the 26
Sure.
and how that feedback through you but into the government is shaped the 31 program and what the prospects there are.
Of course, absolutely. Well, we have to consider these as two very different animals here. So the Type 26 is our primary anti-submarine warfare platform. It's state-of-the-art, the latest design, has many requirements which address not just current threats but future threats that we see, and it's something we are sharing in terms of capability with other navies. It's probably, in my estimation, looking at the competition, several years ahead of designs of anti-submarine warfare platforms that are out there at the moment, and we are working very closely with a number of navies about using a very similar design or the same design as our Type 26 to be able to share that capability with those, again, with those close allies. Anti-submarine warfare is a key requirement of navies going forwards, and how we do that and how we share that with those nations is going to really drive some value in terms of what we do with defence exports. So I'm very confident that Type 26 is a very good global platform and something that other nations would want to take advantage of. It's world class without a doubt. These things take time, Margaret. It's not something, defence exports and developing capability is a matter of many years to get to the point of someone actually deploying that capability. So we are well down that path. I'm very confident that we will see that with Type 26 in the next couple of years or so. Type 31 addresses a different need. It's a general purpose frigate, different class of ship, smaller, really so that you can invest your money and have a lot of different ships out there, a lot of capability, a lot of platforms. So it's designed for that. It's not designed for anything like the 26 mission. It's a very different general purpose frigate. That class of ship is being used by many navies around the world, particularly the smaller navies, as their primary combatant. So one thing we have done, and I think this is a really good change again of policy of government in the UK, we have actually enlisted the advice of 20 of our closest naval partners around the world in helping us define the requirements that we put into a general purpose frigate. So we've actually asked them what they would like to see inside the design of that. We've taken all of those recommendations, and most of them we've incorporated in the requirements for the Type 31. What that does, it not only makes us have keep a real eye on what our close partners want in a ship that we would want to export eventually, but it also enables us to build something that's flexible. So it's suitable for the Royal Navy needs, and it has in its design, built into it right from day one, the flexibility to adapt it to those requirements of those overseas navies. That makes it a pretty unique export opportunity. We've identified a market out there for more than 50 ships in that class amongst those navies, and we feel very confident that they would want to be on that journey with us right from the design going through to production and then through to in service. So again, because we've taken a different course, because we've adopted a different policy, something that the Royal Navy and the MOD have really pioneered in many respects, we have got a great opportunity again for something that will be wanted by quite a few navies around the world going forwards.